Hi and welcome back to the Ruby Tuesday. My name's Ruben and this is my review for AMC's The Walking Dead Dead City. How are you one of those people that watched many seasons of The Walking Dead, but then the last few teetered off because you just thought it got too long in the tooth? Or are you one of those few that stuck with it till the end? And now you're excited to see what they're doing with these other spin-offs. We've had Fear the Walking Dead, we've had the games, we've had this world building. You know, maybe this is enough. Just stop flogging a dead horse. Put it to bed already. Let's jump in. Maggie and Negan travel into a post-apocalyptic Manhattan, long ago cut off from the mainland. The city is filled with the dead and the denizens who have made New York City their own world. Each episode's around about 45 minutes, but it is really Negan and Maggie, their journey rescuing her son, and that's the journey of them trying to find out what has happened, where they're going, how they get there, and why they need to team up at all. If we go to way back when Negan destroyed Glenn with his bat Lucille.
Back to it.
That was the moment I remember my wife and I tapped out for a long time, and it's only since then have I been dipping in and out, but for me it lost me because there's only so much darkness you can take until it just gets too much. There needs to be a win. Our characters, after so much turmoil, having to survive the zombies, but then having to survive the people who supposedly you would think that would come together to survive the zombies, right? But that's never been the case. So way back when, even before the Negan, right back to the first season, we had 6 episodes of The Walking Dead by Frank Darabont. And for me, that was one of the best zombie series I've ever seen. I thought it was excellent. There's been a few in between then that I thought are okay. But those first 6, I was scared out of my wits. And I was hoping that this series would bring a freshness, a much needed freshness to this zombie franchise. I think it does. I think it's because it's so contained, because they are able to build on a relationship, but a broken relationship, the Negan character with Maggie character. They don't have to build any of that, so they can just kind of jump into a new story. And so we have Inner City, which we often find our characters not going towards because it's just going to be crawling. And they show us new ways to show the various different zombies or what's happened with them or how they've been used about the big bad and why Negan is needed. So as we delve into the story, it's a much contained story, but a lot of people thought this was just going to be a one and done. And I can say there is a contained story within this. So if they don't ever pick it up, that would be okay for the most part, but they're definitely creating a new franchise that I think they want many seasons from, which makes me a bit worried because what we get here in the 6 episodes are actually really good, but it takes its time. Once we hit the 3rd episode, probably the 4th, halfway through 4, 5, and 6, that's when we get a lot of the action, the heavy gore, seeing Jeffrey Dean Morgan with the best lines again. I mean, he is the reason why I'm watching the show, because he has so much presence on anything from
Izzy, I told you I'm here for you.
to the father character in Supernatural.
I hit you.
Whenever he's on screen, I'm just there. So this character, although I love to hate his character in the Walking Dead series, in this one they bring so much nuance and background to the character that feels like he's changed a lot. So the monster is there, but what he's gone through or how he's changed in the last few seasons of The Walking Dead, now we see a different Negan, still fully monstrous, but you start seeing the human side of him and the whys and, you know, the consequences of him having to build all of that world, the consequences of him having to build a human side to the monster side, where he's been such a monster for so long. Can he come back from that? There's these conversations between him and Maggie that occur as they're waiting or scouting, you know, run across the street, avoid the monsters, avoid the humans, trying to survive from one day to the next. It's classic Walking Dead, and it all looks great. The prosthetics is gross as you'd expect it to be. The violence is way up there. But in between that, we have the human conversations. And at some point, I found myself going, I actually care a bit about Negan, which I don't want to. Don't make me care for Negan. He's the worst, right? Him and Lucille. I mean, he's the worst good bad guy. However, once you start seeing that human side of him, you can somewhat relate. It's more like Maggie for me in this time round is the monster, is the one that you wish would show some more humanity. She is like a Terminator robot. When she was hard before, she is double that now, because she has one goal, and that's what she needs to do, and whatever that means, she will do that. So there's this humanity that comes through both of our main protagonists, but it almost feels like they've swapped characters in a bit. The Terminator-esque Maggie, who has one goal. The more human side of Negan, which is crazy to talk about. And then we have how it's filmed. Close quarters, but you get to see the fighting when it's needed. Beautiful cinematography, but dark a lot of the time. I do wish there was some more daylight or lightness in some of the shots, because it came across very dark and I wanted to see what was going on. It's the sort of thing, if you're watching during the day, you're pulling your curtains closed, shutting the door so you can see the shots, because our TVs are designed for certain color palettes, and you don't want to change them to raise the brightness to see what's going on. But I was really surprised by this season. I could do with more like this contained. Now, what worries me is that when they get greenlit for a second season, which they probably will do, I'll be surprised if they haven't already, then they jump to the 22 episodes per season. See, here we have a contained, fast storyline that brings you in for the first couple of episodes, that really does the world building, establishing what our characters are up to, where they're going, who they are, showing us how the format and the flow and the tempo is going to be for this season. We get to that halfway mark, and then we just kind of gun it for the ending storyline, which is really entertaining and fun to watch. However, if you're going to stretch that out to 22 episodes, I would have tapped out like third, fourth episode in, because there isn't enough story then. And that's what happened a lot in the subsequent seasons of The Walking Dead. Very slow, long-winded, in between the goriness and the scariness of what was happening between the humans and the zombies. You just didn't care enough to stick around for so many episodes. So if they're going to do more, I really hope they do contained seasons, short, fast storytelling. Not fast as in like, you know, people are doing things fast, but just as the pacing and the tone is worth you sticking around, not drawn out storylines. So I'm going to give this 3.5 Nicolas Cages out of 5.
You got one. Congratulations.
It's surprising that it's that high for me. I thought it was a good, fun time watch. Not quite as good as that original first season of The Walking Dead, but getting close. A nice surprise. Let me know your thoughts and feelings. Who's your favorite character in The Walking Dead? I'd love to know. Thanks so much for watching, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long Tuesday.